You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk 1150 AM. Now, back to the show with local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell.
You are listening to The Money Hour on 1150 AM, KKNW, the Saturday, October 8th show. You can also listen to my show podcast, Facebook premiere, or you can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. In addition, for more information on upcoming events, you can go to TinaMitchellEvents.com. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I am here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you are hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I'm here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that I have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And now back in studio, Gina Madeya of Windermere, Yarrow Bay. Today's real estate market, a reversion, not a decline, right here on 1150 AM KKNW. All right, Gina, let's get right into it from your expert in the space. It's going to be really great, and I'm excited for my listeners to hear your takeaway on the market that we're in right now. So there is so much talk in the headlines about the housing market and home values. How would you characterize the current market that we're in today, Gina?
In a word, different, right? I mean, I think we were all surprised to have experienced what we did during COVID with that uptick in activity. And that resulted in sustained month-over-month growth and rapidly escalating prices. And if we recall, it was driven by that increase in demand due to the overnight shift to working from home, people needing at that point more space, et cetera. And it was further spurred rather by the government's reaction and the reduction in interest rates. But the problem was that increased demand so much in an area that was already woefully undersupplied, right? And then what we saw was sustained month-over-month double-digit growth that caused housing prices to rise so significantly. It wasn't uncommon, 20, 30, 40% or more over asking price. But what we always knew, right, was that was never sustainable. At some point, people's actual affordability ceiling would be hit. And then when interest rates started ticking back up, it really kind of brought us to a bit of a screeching halt. It finally happened. So, I mean, the news headlines seem to paint a sensationalistic view of doom and gloom. But I think that's irresponsible. I think we are entering a period of readjustment or realignment, but we're certainly not heading off a cliff.
Yeah. And not in this media space, but most media space are fear-based. 90% or more of the media is all fear-based, and it's only half of the story. It's a lot of the times the full story isn't there. So it can be pretty scary for people that don't really understand what's truly going on. So Gina, would you say that it's now a buyer's market and not in the seller's favor?
That's a good question. And I would say everything's relative, right? I mean, at the height of the pandemic and that buying frenzy, in some places we had less than 2 weeks of inventory. Now, in both Seattle and East Side, we have almost 2 months worth. But when you consider that a balanced market is actually characterized by having 4 months to 6 months of inventory, this suggests it's still technically a seller's market. But things continue to feel different. I mean, gone for the most part are the crazy bidding wars with offers waiving all major contingencies. Homes are actually also taking longer than 24 hours to go pending, and some have to have a price drop before getting under contract.
Yeah, and you look at the agents that have been in the industry for a certain amount of years that they don't even know maybe what finance contingency and inspection contingency. They don't understand what a normal market is. And the reality is it's best for our economy to actually be in a balanced market overall for everybody. It's best for a balanced market, not to talk to you as a seller. If you were selling your house now and you could have, sold it back when you could get 20, 30, 40% over list price, would that have been a better time to sell? Yes. We're talking about overall for all of us in the economy, we want to have a balanced market, which we're not there yet, according to what Gina is sharing. So given this shift, what's important for sellers to understand if they want to sell their home in this current market?
Well, I would say the basics still haven't changed. pricing and presentation continue to be key, but in fact, probably even more important now. So first and foremost, and you sort of alluded to this, sellers cannot look at what their neighbor's home sold for 6 months ago. We are in an entirely different market. I've even spoken to several appraisers who tell me that they aren't going back more than 90 days to find sold comparables to use in their appraisal unless they absolutely have to. And then when they do, they will make adjustments for the difference in the market now. No seller wants to leave money on the table, but trust me when I tell you, you will be punished if you are too aggressive with pricing out of the gate. Value is determined by what someone is willing to pay. So price it right from the get-go to attract that target audience and inspire serious interest and an offer. Regarding presentation, another key element. I've always been an advocate of staging and of course, high quality photos, 3D scans, videos, and yes, home warranties, actually. But buyers have more choices and are being more picky. Get the walls painted, landscape, spruce up, get a new carpet if need be. And if you need funds to help do that, Windermere has a fantastic program called Windermere Ready, where we will provide sellers up to $50,000 upfront in order to do those high impact updates to make sure that their homes, it shows as a cut above. And then last, I would say having a plan B. What happens if your home doesn't sell? What is the plan?
Yeah. And great advice, Gina. No matter what market we're in, it's all how you price. And that's why you need to work with an expert that understands in the negotiating side for the buyer. And when you have your seller hat on, you know the strategy of pricing, because that is how you're going to win, or you're going to lose big to where you have to come in with plan B. So Gina, what do you think is most important for buyers to understand in today's market?
Well, I think buyers they understand that the market has shifted and therefore is a bit more friendly to them, but they also need to recognize it's still fundamentally a seller's market. I think something that this represents a decline in housing values and that now they can offer like a significant amount below list. And like, that's just not really the posture to take. I think we should all be grateful for the shift because now buyers don't have to be so aggressive and they don't have to take the big risks anymore, right, to win the home. When you escalate 40% above asking price and waive all contingencies, that's a huge and high priced risk that you're taking. And now that's more the exception than the rule. But, you know, everything's relative. People's memories are short. And I feel sometimes that buyers are like, well, I used to have to pay 40% over asking price, but now that it's shifted, I'll offer 40% under. And I think you were starting to allude to this. At the end of the day, this is about a negotiation and there are two parties involved. And it's important to be realistic and make sure that that opening bid inspires a dialogue versus shuts it down entirely.
Yeah. And again, if you're working with an expert in the real estate space, like Gina, she's going to help you understand the data because everything's in the numbers. So understanding the data and what that particular home has been listed for in comparison to homes that have recently sold to determine if that home's overpriced because that agent didn't know how to price it, or it's a little underpriced, which is going to get more people to see the home, or it's priced right. So you really need to, again, have that expert advice that's going to be able to help you navigate through that process so you don't miss out on the home that you want. So what other positive aspects are there about this market shift, Gina?
So glad you asked that question because it kind of goes back to the importance of a balanced and healthy market, because it's not all about you, it's about, you know, the collective. So I would say now, in addition to more protection in the form of contingencies like financing, appraisal, and inspection, more buyers who simply couldn't compete before in that highly competitive arena are able to participate in the market. You know, buyers with less than 20% down, those who need FHA or VA financing have way more opportunities now than they have in the recent past. And that is a good thing. The one element, which is a consequence of the past 2 years of sustained price growth, however, is affordability. And that is still a major challenge for folks. And even while competition is less and price growth is slowing, many may not be able to participate because they can't qualify. But I know a great lender like you that has a myriad of programs that can reach anyone with any means.
Yeah, thank you for that shout out, Gina. So, why do you think that you've been so we talked a little bit of this in the panel conversation, but so successful in your field? And what is the approach in working with your buyers and sellers that have helped you be an industry leader in the real estate space?
Well, I am an advocate for education, transparency, and data, all while being very relationship driven. I mean, whether someone has bought or sold before, I mean, educating them about the process and current market conditions are key to how I engage with them. Managing expectations is also critical, so parties know what to expect or what might happen depending on the choices they make. And data, as we know, doesn't lie. And I'm a firm believer that it offers good guideposts for how the market is behaving and therefore how one should respond to be effective within those dynamics. For both buyers and sellers, I'll do a market analysis to provide my opinion on pricing for a listing or on how to approach an offer. And I would just say in either case, what I think people enjoy about working with me is that I'm very clear that I'm not attached to the outcome because it's not mine, right? Do I want the deal to be successful? Of course. But my motivation can't be that subsequent paycheck. It has to be knowing I did a good job of setting expectations, educating them, and facilitating the process so they could make an informed decision to achieve their goals.
Yeah, well said. And that is a formula that will work in any business to be successful that Gina just shared with us today. So, Gina, I've heard real estate agents sometimes characterized as superheroes, and I know that you definitely are. So I would love for you to share, what would you say that your superpower is?
Well, that's a fun question.
I know.
Right? Mm-hmm. I would say I have the ability to put people at ease and make them feel valued. I find I'm good at building rapport and listening to others in a way that conveys genuine interest and builds trust.
That is a great superpower to have for sure. So, Gina, I know that you're also heavily involved in the Seattle King County Realtors, and that's a real honor to actually get chosen to be a part of a role in the organization. So, can you share more about your role there and how it helps you in your business with your clients?
Thank you for asking that question. Yes, I am.
It's a huge honor, Gina. Congratulations, because there are thousands and thousands of agents, and to be the one of the ones that are picked to represent the association and all of the information and things that you're getting and the decisions that you can make and help bring forward behind the scenes is a really powerful position to be in. So how does that help you with your clients?
Yeah, it is. And I don't take it lightly. First and foremost, for clarity for the audience, if I may, there is a big difference between working with a real estate broker and a realtor. As a realtor, I'm held to a higher ethical standard and I'm bound by a pledge to adhere to a strict code of ethics in how I conduct my business. As a state director for Seattle King County Realtors, I am involved. I'm on their board of directors, so I'm heavily involved in issues that affect our industry and decisions that we make to help support that. But I think the thing I'm most proud about is being a major investor in the Realtor PAC, which supports candidates and policy initiatives that strengthen the ability of all of us to own, buy, and sell real property. But in addition to giving my treasure, I do give my time. For 4 years running, I've participated in the King County Realtors Government Affairs Committee. I'm now the VP-elect of Government and Public Affairs for Seattle King County. And what we do, we're boots on the ground. We call attention to and identify solutions for key housing issues. A major area of focus right now, of course, being on affordability and solving that middle housing challenge. But I would say I think participating in this way is not only an opportunity for me to give back, but to keep my skills and knowledge sharp so I can best serve my clients and community.
Yeah. And again, congratulations on that. And thank you for the support. And it is true, when you come from a place of contribution, you monetize in return. So it's time and it's commitment, but everything that you're gaining from being a part of those powerful decisions not only sharpens your tool, but it helps you to make the difference that you know is going to be best to support not just your buyers and sellers, but overall the entire economy when it comes to real estate decisions. So thank you for that, Gina. All right, as I wrap up my time here with you in the last couple minutes, what do you see happening in the housing market? Let's just say maybe in the next coming months.
Well, my crystal ball, like yours, is very foggy and not really working. So that aside, again, I think it's important to recognize that we are in a period of realignment or reversion and getting back to what a healthy real estate market should be. And I think I do expect that interest rates will continue to rise, but I'm hearing forecasters saying it will come back down in early 2023. And I hope so, because that will coincide nicely with what is typically our spring market. And then I think we'll be back to the races. Supply and demand is still an issue here, and those fundamentals haven't changed. So I'm looking forward to continuing serving my clients.
Yeah, there's you never know what the market's going to do, but guaranteed the market's going to have adjustments. It's going to go up and it's going to go down. Absolutely. Mortgage interest rates, if it follows the historical trends, every time that we're in inflation or recession, historically interest rates go down 12 to 24 months. The only exception to that rate rule historically was the financial meltdown and the Great Recession of 2008 for obvious reasons. So if we follow history, we're going to do that. And then just a shout out if you're listening and you bought your home back in the height of the market and you're seeing your property values decline, just know that you do not lose money in real estate unless you're forced to sell in a bad market and you are not reinvesting at the same time. That's how you lose money in real estate. So don't worry about the 100,000 or whatever you've lost unless you're planning on selling and you're not reinvesting. Because if you're reinvesting, it's never going to be a buyer's market and a seller's market at the same time. So you're going to win on one and you're going to lose on the other. It's going to balance itself out. So that would be my shout out. Gina, would you agree with that and would like to add anything?
1000%. And I couldn't have said it any better.
Wonderful. Well, Gina, thank you again for being on my show, taking the time to share with my listeners. Thank you again for the contribution that you're doing in your leadership role with Washington Realtors and just being the person that you are and helping our buyers and sellers in our local community.
Thank you, Tina. Appreciate you.